We are finally here. It is week 1 of the NFL season, and it is time to get into our regular season episode week by week basis, predictions, fantasy football. It all happens now. This is something we've been waiting for since the start of season 3 earlier this year following Super Bowl 59. This is going to be a very exciting episode because we're going to go through 15 NFL games and look at the fantasy matchup I have before me. And we're going to be doing this in today's episode, and I hope you guys are excited. Again, if you haven't already, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Let's do this. By the way, if you notice the background has changed, there's a lot of changes happening in my room. If it looks like it's a construction site, just because it actually is. Right now, I'm trying to fill this room up with all the sound foam that I just want for decoration and for audio purposes. So that's why it looks a little janky. I just got it started last night. Been working on it this morning before this episode, before recording all of this. It should get better over time. I don't know how long it will take before I finally get all that I want. But this is what we have so far, so I hope you guys are excited for that. And now it is time to get into episode 19. Let's do this. So I am starting Kyler Murray against New Orleans. I'm going to be starting Saquon Barkley against Dallas, but by the time you see this episode, if you see it the day it drops, that game's already long and gone. But we're going to be starting Saquon Barkley. I'm also going to be starting Josh Jacobs for Green Bay against Detroit. Amari Hampton for Los Angeles against Kansas City, which is a game that is coming out tonight, the same day I'm also making this episode and posting it to you guys. Amari Hampton, I'm going to be starting him. Hopefully he gets some reps and does very well. I'm also going to be starting Tyreek Hill against Indianapolis. I'm going to be starting Rashid Shaheed against Arizona. I'm going to be starting Chase McLaughlin against Atlanta. And lastly, I'll be starting the Denver Broncos defense versus the Titans. That's the matchup I have. My opponent, on the other hand, has Brock Purdy, who's against Seattle, Nico Collins against Los Angeles, A.J. Brown against Dallas, which is already done. CeeDee Lamb against Philadelphia, which is also already done. Ladd McConkey tonight against Kansas City. Trey McBride, the tight end for Arizona, against New Orleans. Evan McPherson against Cleveland. And the Pittsburgh Steelers defense against the New York Jets. That's what we have so far, and that is my matchup. Again, we have some interesting rules and lineup setups for our fantasy league. That's why he's starting 5 wide receivers / tight ends. But that is the matchup. I'm projected to win by 13 points, but we'll see what happens. With all of that said, let's get into the predictions. The first game we're going to be looking at is happening the day this video releases, and that is the Friday night Sao Paulo matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. I hated this matchup in the beginning because I believe that each team should be able to play at their home space and then at their opponent's home space, and the Chargers are not going to have that. They're not going to have a game in Los Angeles against Kansas City. It's going to be Sao Paulo and then all the way back at Kansas City, which is, to me, that's poor matchmaking. I don't know why they did that. But for this matchup in general, Los Angeles has kind of expanded a little bit, both on the wide receiver core, adding Amari Hampton and Najee Harris, so that offense is actually starting to build itself pretty well. Defensively, losing Joey Bosa does hurt, but on Kansas City's side, this is probably it for Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes has kind of been dipping in production, even though he's been making it to the Super Bowl. Production has not always been there. You should have Xavier Worthy ready to go. You should have Hollywood Brown ready to go. You won't have Rashee Rice because he's on suspension. This is going to be a close matchup, but it's one of those games that the Chargers just have a hard time getting by. The Chiefs will win 17-13. It does tend to be a low scoring matchup, but it still favors Kansas City and the Super Bowl contenders in that regard. The first matchup of Sunday we're going to be looking over is between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Another rivalry matchup. The thing is this feels a little more lopsided than it actually is. Man. Atlanta has a lot of hope going into this year, but there's a lot of question marks surrounding Michael Penix. As far as Tampa Bay goes, I love that offense up and down. I think Baker Mayfield has improved big time. He's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Bucky Irving's a top 10 running back. You have a really strong wide receiver core with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and now Igbuka. This is going to be a powerful offense that is going to be really hard to stop for the Falcons, and it's a different Falcons team overall. There's a new dynamic there. There's still question marks surrounding the head coach. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers to win 27-17. There's just so many ways for the Buccaneers to end Atlanta big time. I just don't see the Falcons being able to get everything in order, ready to go against an already proven Buccaneers team, which seems to just keep improving during the offseason. Buccaneers easily. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns facing off. A similar matchup to last year in week 1. A similar matchup 2 years ago in week 1. Here's the deal. The Bengals are horrible in the first few games of their NFL season. I'm pretty sure there's like a stat where in the month of September, they're like 1-11. I mean, that does not, you can't do that. You cannot do that, Zach Taylor. I believe that the Bengals need to get off to some start. And during the preseason, I mean, they were starting their starters early on. You had Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow doing their thing. I believe that the offense overall for the Bengals is going to be overwhelming. Defensively, I'm not excited. Outside of Trey, there's nothing else I really care about on that defense. And then with the Browns, it's a whole different story. A quarterback melodrama. You're going to be starting Joe Flacco's while you still have so many other quarterbacks. You lost Nick Chubb. He's gone. You have something new. I mean, Jerome Ford and Quinshon Judkins, I think they can do pretty well. Jerry Jeudy is really your only wide receiver that matters, and Njoku's a good tight end. And then the defense, you still got Myles Garrett. Cleveland has a chance to compete because it is the Bengals in September, but I'm going to go against the rule. I'm going to say the Bengals win 17-16. It's just hard for me to argue against that offensive power that the Bengals have, but if they lose this matchup, there's no words. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins and the Indianapolis Colts. These are two teams that have a lot of drama going into the season. I mean, we were wondering where Tyreek Hill was going to go all offseason. He managed to stay with Miami. So you have that, but you did lose some defensive key pieces like Jalen Ramsey's gone now. You did get Fitzpatrick, which is a big deal. But overall, Miami, offensively, you're going to see a lot more in the run game with Devon Achane. I think Tyreek Hill is still somebody who's very valuable. You're going to see the ball spread out a little bit more, especially that he's starting to get a little older, and Tua needs to get the ball out. He needs to stop getting into injury troubles, and hopefully he can succeed in that. The Colts, on the other hand, are an absolute disaster. Daniel Jones is going to be starting over Anthony Richardson, who right now is looking like a failed project overall. So it's looking bad for Anthony Richardson, which is just unfortunate. And outside of maybe Tyler Warren, who I think is going to be really good at the tight end position, and then you have Jonathan Taylor, the offense feels a little depleted. This feels like it's going to be a blow-up matchup. Give me Miami 31-17 to win. Start off the year on a pretty good note. I mean, it's just still a very strong Miami team. So I would not put a lot of question marks there. But I think that as the season progresses, as long as Tua stays healthy, Miami's worth something. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the New England Patriots. Now, two teams walking in with somewhat of a new identity and a lot of hype, in my opinion. The Raiders got Ashton Genty, they got Geno Smith, and to go along with Brock Bowers, that offense is actually starting to look really nice. And so there's a lot of excitement there. I still think the defense is highly questionable. And then with New England, Drake May. Seems like he is going to be a very valuable option for New England to work with. At the quarterback position, I think he's going to get a lot better. I did have his expectations a little low. Maybe I'm wrong. And then you also have the fact they just got Stephon Diggs. They're working that offense out. They did get Travion Henderson, which is a pretty big move. And then defensively, they're still super solid. I think it's going to be a low-scoring matchup, but I'm going to go with the Patriots to win at home 16-13. I think you're going to see some growing pains with this Raiders team early on. You're going to see them sparks, but some growing pains as well. And Drake May will show a little more talent. Hopefully he is going to improve throughout the year, which a lot of people think he will, but that remains to be seen. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints, two teams that one of them, Arizona, has a shot to be spectacular in the NFC West. The other one, I think, is going backwards, and that's the New Orleans Saints. I believe that it's really going to come down to whoever is going to be manning that offense for New Orleans. They have to get going early on. This feels like a toss-up game for Arizona. Give me 24-10. I want the Cardinals to win this game. I think that they're going to win. I think that Kyler Murray is going to have a pretty good start, but he's also being thrown a layup here, so there's not much to talk about with this matchup. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the New York Jets, two teams that have swapped quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers makes his return back to the Meadowlands, while New York starts their year off with Justin Fields. Overall, New York's offense, on paper, is a lot better. I think Garrett Wilson is a better receiver than DK Metcalf. I believe that Breece Hall is a better running back than Jalen Warren. You can argue that Pat Freiermuth is a better tight end overall, because I don't think that much of the use of the tight end position for New York even exists. But you also have that New York has a new head coach, more defensive mind. That could really help in this case. And Aaron Rodgers is just getting a lot older. I am going to say that the Jets are going to win this matchup 23-20. Very close, a pretty well scored matchup. I don't have a lot of faith in Pittsburgh to really get on a roll this year, and neither the same for New York, but I'll give them the home field advantage and the fact that I think offensively they're a lot better, and defensively I think they'll be much better as well. Next up, we have the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. This is so easy. New York's walking in with Russell Wilson, and that's not even a fully fleshed quarterback solution for the entire year. Maybe they're going to move on to Jackson Dart or Jameis Winston. All depends. Really, the only offensive force there is Malik Neighbors. But then you look to Washington. Jaden Daniels. You got Austin Eckler. I know Brian Robinson's gone, but they still got Austin Eckler, which is a really, really strong running back in my opinion. Still very good. Wide receiver core, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and they've improved that offensive line a lot. Washington made it as far as the NFC Championship, and they're going to pick up where they left off in success. They're going to win this matchup 38-16, lopsided. New York's going to struggle this year, but Washington, watch out. The Commanders are going to be a tough team to deal with all year long. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, there's some interesting pieces. Obviously, both teams got wide receivers in the draft. For Jacksonville, it was Travis Hunter, the two-way superstar Heisman winner. And then for Carolina, it is Tatari McMillan. I think that it's going to be an interesting way to view the offenses here. Carolina, on paper, is less than Jacksonville, and I think that's going to show on the football field. Bryce Young, though, is going to look pretty good. But in this matchup, give me Jacksonville to win 26-21. I believe that the Jaguars have that home field advantage and have a really good offense that they can lean on. They're not going to Miami, which was going to be a tough matchup to even begin with. I expect Jacksonville to win easily. Close, but easily. Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans and the Denver Broncos. Tennessee's walking in with the first overall pick and their new quarterback Cam Ward. The Broncos are walking in with the Defensive Player of the Year and an incredibly great defense, which I'm also starting on fantasy. This one feels tough for Tennessee because Denver's offense is improving. Cortland Sutton looked like a star last year. Bo Nix is a big deal. RJ Harvey, even though he's not going to be the starting running back immediately, I suspect he's going to run into that role and going to be pretty good going forward. And you just also got Evan Ingram. That Broncos team has a lot working for it. Tennessee may run into some problems early on, especially against a defense like Denver. Give me the Broncos to win 21-13. Close. I don't expect the Broncos offense to go flying off the rails, but I still believe they're going to win against Tennessee. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. The 49ers lost a lot, unfortunately, and a lot of pieces have walked away. Debo's gone. You're having injuries with Brandon Ayuk. So really that offense is super depleted, but they did get back Robert Saleh at the defensive coordinator position, and I think that that will actually make their defense so good this year. On the other hand, you have Seattle. There's a lot to be excited about, but there's also some pieces I'm very questionable about. Cooper Kupp now joins Jackson Smith-Jigba as the wide receiver core there, but you have Sam Darnold, who, while he was good at Minnesota, I don't suspect he's going to be great with Seattle. And because of that, I'm going to go with the 49ers to win 16-14. Not much offensive power, but still just enough for the 49ers to win against Seattle and start off 1-0. Next up, the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. This is going to be good. So Micah Parsons just made his way to Green Bay after being traded from Dallas. Detroit lost Ben Johnson, so this matchup feels like it's a little more even. Offensively, I still love Detroit overall. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be big. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff still going to do his thing. Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, that's a very strong offense. And defensively, I think they should still be a little balanced, but there's going to be holes there for sure. For Green Bay, you got a pretty good wide receiver core on your hands. You just drafted Matthew Golden. Jordan Love is entering his third year as a starter. I think that this is going to be really close. Josh Jacobs, I think, will also have a pretty good game. But I'm going to still take the Lions to win in a close one, 26-20. I just think that Detroit is not going to lose too much of a step after losing both of their coordinators. And that's why I think the Lions are going to start off 1-0. Next up, the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Rams. This is going to be a really good game. But Houston is kind of of walking into this matchup a little bit on the lopsided end because Joe Mixon is not there. I think the running back core is going to struggle a little bit without him because I think Joe Mixon was like the most valuable player on that offense last year. Stroud has to take a step forward. You still got Nico Collins and you got Christian Kirk on your offense. That should be good. And the defense should be solid. But the Rams are walking in with a really loaded offense. And if Matthew Stafford is healthy, which it looks like he is, you also have to deal with Kyron Williams. You got to deal with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. That is a rough offense to deal with. And in an environment like Los Angeles, even though it tends to favor the away teams, give me the Rams to win 38-23. I'm so excited to see what this offense is made of for Los Angeles. I think it's going to be a powerhouse to work with and work against. Houston, you're going to be on the wrong end of a beatdown. And then we have Sunday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills faced off against each other back in the AFC divisional round last year. Baltimore dropped the ball and they lost. Buffalo went on to lose to Kansas City. Kansas City went on to lose to Philadelphia. Everybody knows the story. Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen is a heavyweight matchup that hopefully everybody's ready for. The Bills' offense doesn't seem to lose its step really ever. I mean, Josh Allen is a force to be reckoned with. Baltimore, on the other hand, is going to be running into a hostile environment that is Buffalo. And even though you got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Lamar Jackson, and Derrick Henry, and you have a pretty good wide receiver core, you're going into Allen's territory, and that's not an easy matchup to deal with. Therefore, give me the Bills big time, 41-27 on Sunday Night Football. And then lastly, Monday Night Football, Minnesota and Chicago. Very interesting matchup indeed, because Minnesota is starting JJ McCarthy, while Chicago is having Ben Johnson's first coaching debut for the regular season. The Bears were a hot disappointment last year. Ever since that Washington game, they spiraled out of control. But now they have a really good offensive mindset at the head coach position, and it should be very interesting. But Minnesota Vikings defense, which is very tough, JJ McCarthy, who I think is a little bit of a smarter quarterback overall and has an incredible core to surround that. I'm going to actually take the Vikings to win in a very close matchup, 21-20. I just think that Minnesota has it more together, while I think Chicago might take a minute to actually get going. If they are to have a really good season, I don't think it's going to start off very fast. Therefore, I'm going to take the Vikings to win, and that will conclude all the matchups for week 1 of the NFL season. And thank you for watching episode 19, the first predictions and Yahoo Fantasy matchups for week 1. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and if you do, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Go follow me on all my social medias. In these shorts, ask me questions, and I might start answering them at the end of each episode. Hope you guys are excited for that, because I do want to interact and do Q&As and all that. Anyways, that'll do it for me. Go watch college football, go watch the NFL. Football is back. Have yourselves a great day, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.